Cancel your vacation. We need your beach house for the bachelorette party, my sister texted. I'd booked it 8 months ago. Mom, stop being difficult. I replied, you're right. Family first. Then called the property manager. Remove their access codes. When 14 women showed up to lock doors at 9 p.m. I'm Wes. 33 M. I own a beach house. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, wraparound deck. Sits right on the dune line with a view of the Atlantic that makes you forget you have a job and a mortgage and a family that treats your property like a timeshare they never paid into. I bought it at 29 with money I saved for 7 years. 7 years. From 22 to 29, every raise, every bonus, every tax refund, every dollar I didn't spend on things I wanted went into a savings account that I watched grow the way other people watch their kids grow, slowly and with a devotion that borders on obsessive. $78,000 down payment. $389,000 total. I remember signing the paperwork at the title company, my hand shaking slightly, and the closing agent said, "First property?" And I said, "First anything." That house is not just a vacation home. It's the physical, tangible, 3-bedroom proof that I built something real with my own discipline and my own sacrifice, and nobody gave it to me and nobody helped. Remember that. Because my family forgot it approximately immediately. In the 4 years since I bought the house, my family has used it more than I have. This is not an exaggeration. This is math. My mother Lorraine, 11 times. 11 separate weekends where she called and said, "Wes, honey, I need a little getaway," or "Your aunt and I want to do a girls' weekend," or "I just need the beach." My sister Brianna, 8 times. Bachelorette pre-planning trips, birthday weekends, a girls' trip that somehow included 12 people and a karaoke machine that left a scratch on my hardwood floor. My brother Kyle, twice, which is actually reasonable, and both times he asked properly and left the place clean. So Kyle gets a pass in this story. Me, the owner, the person whose name is on the deed and the mortgage and the insurance and the property tax bill, 6 times. I've used my own house 6 times in 4 years. Every time I plan something for myself, a family member needs it. And I've said yes every single time because saying no in my family is treated like a declaration of war, and I've spent 33 years choosing peace over principle. Not anymore. They never pay for anything when they use it. Let me be specific because the details matter. No cleaning fee. No contribution to maintenance. No restocking supplies. They don't replace the toilet paper they use, or the dish soap they empty, or the coffee they drink. They leave the place like a crime scene every single time. Sand tracked through every room because nobody uses the outdoor shower. Dishes piled in the sink with dried food cemented onto them. Trash cans overflowing because taking the bags to the dumpster at the end of the road is apparently too much effort for adults who drove 3 hours to use someone else's house for free. Wet towels on the floor. Beds unmade. Once, and this is the one that still makes my eye twitch, a red wine stain on my living room couch. A white linen couch that I specifically chose because it matched the aesthetic of the house, and nobody told me about it. I found it 3 weeks later when I came for my own weekend. The cleaning cost $600. Nobody offered to pay. Nobody acknowledged it. My property manager Dale charges $200 per cleaning. Over 4 years, 21 family visits. That's $4,200 in cleaning fees alone that I've absorbed. Plus the couch. Plus the scratch on the hardwood. Plus the broken towel rack in the guest bathroom that Kyle's wife accidentally pulled off the wall, which was actually an accident, and she apologized, and I fixed it myself, so that one doesn't count. But the rest of it, for $1,800 minimum in cleaning and repairs over 4 years. For a house I've used 6 times. They've had it 21 times. The math speaks for itself. I hadn't taken a real vacation in 3 years. I want you to understand what 3 years without a break looks like from the inside. It looks like a man who falls asleep at his desk twice a month. It looks like a man whose therapist, a woman named Dr. Hadley who I've been seeing for 2 years, started using the word burnout in every session starting around month 4, and by month 6 was using it the way a doctor uses the word urgent, with italics you can hear. I work in logistics, supply chain management. It's the kind of job where the phone rings at 5 a.m. because a container ship in Singapore didn't dock on schedule, and now 14 clients need their deliveries rerouted, and you're the one who reroutes them while eating a granola bar in your car in the company parking lot. I'm good at it. I make good money. But the job doesn't stop, and I hadn't stopped either. Not in 3 years, not since the house. Because every time I blocked off a week for myself at the beach house, someone in my family had a need that outranked my own, and I moved my plans like they were written in pencil, and theirs were written in permanent marker. 8 months ago, I decided that was over. I booked a solo week at my own beach house. Blocked it off on the calendar. Told Dale, no guest access codes for that week, nobody but me. Filed the time off request at work 8 months in advance so nobody could claim a conflict. Told Dr. Hadley, and she actually smiled, which she doesn't do often in session, and she said, "This is the first proactive self-care decision you've made since I've known you." 8 months of anticipation. 8 months of knowing that in August, for 1 week, I was going to sleep in my own house and cook in my own kitchen and sit on my own deck and look at my own ocean and not answer a single call or email or text from anyone who wanted anything from me. That week wasn't a vacation. It was a mental health intervention I'd been building toward for the better part of a year. And then my sister sent a text. A text, not a call, not a conversation, not, "Hey Wes, can we talk about the beach house?" A text that said, and I'm copying it verbatim because I screenshot it and I've read it approximately 40 times since. "Cancel your vacation. We need the beach house for the bachelorette party. It's the perfect spot, 14 of us, the whole weekend. Thanks. Thanks with an exclamation point. Like it was already decided. Like my 8-month vacation was a placeholder she could overwrite with a group booking. Like the word cancel was a casual verb and not a grenade she was throwing into the center of my mental health plan. But it was worse than the text. Because Brianna didn't just text me. She had already told the 14 women that the bachelorette was at the beach house. Already sent the address. Already created a group chat called Beach Babes Bachelorette with location pins, packing lists, a shared Pinterest board for decorations, and a Venmo request for everyone's share of food and drinks. She had committed 14 people to my property before she asked me. The asking was a notification. The decision had been made weeks earlier. I was the last person to find out about a party at my own house. And the bachelorette weekend overlapped exactly with my vacation week. Same dates. Brianna knew this because Mom told her I had the house booked. She asked anyway. Not around my dates. On my dates. The entitlement wasn't accidental. It was architectural. She saw my plans and decided hers were more important, and she didn't even have the respect to pretend it was a coincidence. I texted back, "Sorry, I have the house booked for myself that week." Brianna responded in 90 seconds. 90 seconds. She didn't think about it. She didn't consider my position. She just fired back, "Seriously? You can go literally any other time. This is my bachelorette." I didn't respond. I set my phone down and I went back to work, and within 20 minutes my phone was ringing and the caller ID said, "Mom." And I picked up because the alternative was 12 more calls and a voicemail that would start sweet and end threatening. Mom said, "Stop being difficult. Your sister is getting married. You can go to the beach any weekend. Give her the house." I said, "I've had this booked for 8 months, Mom. I arranged time off work. I've been planning this since January." She said, "And your sister is getting married once." Once, Wes. Priorities. I said, "My mental health is a priority." She said, and this is the sentence that I've replayed in my head approximately 300 times since, "This is why people say you're selfish." People. Plural. Like there's a focus group somewhere, a panel of family members who've convened to evaluate my character and issued a formal finding. The verdict, selfish. Because I want to use my own house for 1 week out of 52. In a year where my family has used it 11 separate times, and I've used it twice. Selfish. Mom deployed the full arsenal in that same call. Every weapon in the guilt armory. Rapid fire, no pauses, the kind of sustained pressure that a different person would fold under and that I have folded under for 4 years. Guilt. After everything this family has done for you. I genuinely love to see the itemized list of everything, because I've been keeping my own ledger and it consists of cleaning fees and couch stains. Logic. You'll have the house all year. She needs it 1 weekend. I have the house all year. In theory. In practice, my family has used it 21 times, and I've used it 6 times. That's not all year. That's a quarter. Threat. If you don't do this, don't expect to be invited to the wedding. The nuclear option. Deployed casually, like it was a natural consequence of my decision and not emotional blackmail designed to override my autonomy. She dropped that bomb and kept talking like she hadn't just threatened to exclude me from my sister's wedding over a set of keypad codes on a house I own. Brianna, meanwhile, texted the group chat that I later saw. Working on the venue situation, my brother is being complicated. Complicated. The man who owns the property is being complicated about the property. That's like a hotel guest calling the hotel complicated for not giving them a free room. Kyle called the next day. My brother, the reasonable one, the only person in my family who uses the beach house respectfully and cleans up after himself. He said, "Dude, just let her have it. It's not worth the fight. You know how she gets." I said, "Would you give up a vacation you've been planning for 8 months?" He said, "It's different." I said, "How is it different, Kyle? Explain to me how it's different." He couldn't. He went quiet. Because it isn't different. It's only different because it's my thing being sacrificed. In this family, my sacrifices have always been treated as the path of least resistance, the cost nobody calculates because nobody's counting it except me. I said, "Kyle, I've been the path of least resistance for 4 years. 21 visits. For $1,800 in cleaning. A $600 couch stain. And every time I plan something for myself, someone takes it. The path is closed." He said, "I hear you." He didn't argue further. Kyle gets half credit for that. I went quiet for 24 hours. Didn't respond to anyone. Didn't answer calls. Let the silence build because silence, in my family, is louder than any argument. They don't know what to do with silence from me because I've never given it to them before. Then I sent one text to Mom. "You're right. Family first." Mom responded with a heart emoji and the words, "Thank you, sweetheart. Your sister is going to be so happy." She thought she won. She thought the machine had worked the way it always works. Apply pressure, wait for West to fold, collect result. She was wrong. She was catastrophically wrong. I called Dale within the hour. "Dale, I need all guest access codes removed from the property effective immediately. Only my personal code remains active." Dale, who has managed my property for 3 years and who has seen the aftermath of every family visit, and who once texted me a photo of a trash can that had been left overflowing for so long that raccoons had gotten into it, said, "Done." "Anything else?" I said, "If anyone calls claiming to have permission to access the property, they don't. Nobody is authorized except me." Dale said, "Understood. For what it's worth, Wes, it's about time." I called Tom next. Tom is my neighbor at the beach. Retired. 72. He has an emergency key to the house in case of pipe bursts or storm damage. I said, "Tom, nobody from my family is authorized to use that key this week. If anyone comes by and says I sent them, they're lying." Tom, who has watched my family load cases of beer into my house and leave bags of trash on the curb and play music at midnight on a Tuesday, said, "Understood." And Wes, "Good for you." 2 men, 2 phone calls. 2 people who'd been watching my family exploit my property for years and had been waiting for me to do something about it. Thursday evening, the night before the Bachelorette group was supposed to arrive. I drove to the beach house. 3-hour drive. Windows down for the last hour because I could smell the salt air and I wanted to feel it. I pulled into the driveway at 7:40 p.m. Unlocked the door with my code. The house was clean because Dale had the cleaning crew in 2 days earlier per my standing instructions. I unpacked. Stocked the fridge, made dinner, grilled a steak on the deck, and ate it watching the last of the sunset with a beer in my hand and the sound of the ocean filling the house through the open windows. Then I turned off all the lights, locked every door, activated the security system, drew the curtains, and went to bed in my own house, in my own bed, in the house I saved 7 years for and built my entire financial identity around, and I slept better than I had in 3 years. Friday. 9:07 p.m. I was sitting in the living room with the lights off, reading on my tablet with the brightness turned low, wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and still smelling like the steak I'd grilled 2 hours earlier, when I heard them. Cars. Multiple engines. The crunch of tires on the gravel driveway. Doors slamming. 1, 2, 5, 8. Voices. A lot of voices. The particular frequency of a group arriving at a destination they've been anticipating for weeks. This high-pitched, excited energy that carries through walls and closed windows and locked doors. I set my tablet down on the armrest, and I sat in the dark and I listened. Suitcase wheels on the front walkway. Someone said, "Oh my God, it's even prettier than the photos." Someone else said, Where's the rose? Someone laughed that laugh. That means the vacation has started and the real world is on hold. And then the beeping. The keypad. My sister punching the code. Beep, 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 beep. Red light. Not green. Red. Access denied. She tried again. Beep, 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 beep. Red. She tried the backup code, the one Mom had given her from a visit 18 months ago, the one Dale had scrubbed from the system at 2:47 p.m. that afternoon. Red. 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 Every code she knew was dead. The doors were locked. The house was dark. And I was sitting 12 feet from the front door, listening to 14 women discover that, you're right, family first didn't mean what they thought it meant. I could hear the shift. The exact moment the energy changed from excitement to confusion to concern to panic. About 4 minutes. Someone said, is it the right code? Someone said, try the back door. Back door locked. Sliding glass door to the deck, locked. Garage side door, locked. Every entry point sealed. Every code changed. Every key accounted for. The house was a fortress and I was inside it, and they were outside it, and 4 years of open door, help yourself, take whatever you want family access was officially and permanently over. The maid of honor, a woman I later learned was Val, called Dale. 9:22 p.m. Dale, professional as always, explained that the owner had revoked all guest access codes and that no unauthorized visitors were permitted on the property. Val said, there must be a mistake. The owner's sister booked this for the weekend. Dale said, there's no mistake. The owner was very clear. No guest access this week. Val looked at Brianna. I couldn't see this, but I could hear the shift in energy on the porch, the way the laughter stopped and the voices dropped, and somebody said, wait, what's happening? Brianna called me. My phone was on Do Not Disturb, sitting on the kitchen counter, and I could hear it vibrating. She called again, and again, 43 times over the next 2 hours. I know the number because I checked the call log the next morning. 43 calls. I didn't pick up a single one. I sat in the dark and I watched the ocean through a gap in the curtains, and the only sounds in the house were the waves and the buzzing of my phone on the granite countertop, this persistent angry vibration, like an insect trapped against a window. And I thought about Dr. Hadley and the word burnout, and the 8 months of planning and the 21 times I'd said yes, and I let it ring. Val, to her credit, asked the right question. I heard it through the door. She said, Brianna, did you actually ask your brother? And Brianna said, he said it was fine. And Val said, then why are the doors locked? Nobody had an answer. 14 women standing on a porch in matching bride tribe tank tops with a banner that said, last fling before the ring, rolled up under someone's arm, and nobody had an answer. Brianna tried to call a locksmith. Found one willing to come out on a Friday night for an emergency fee. Dale called me at 10:15 p.m., the only call I answered all night, and said, your sister has a locksmith on the way. Do you want me to inform them that any unauthorized entry will be treated as trespassing on private property? I said yes. Dale called the locksmith. The locksmith, upon being informed that the property owner had explicitly denied access and that any entry would constitute trespassing, declined the job and left. Smart man. I would have tipped him if I could. It was 9 p.m. on a Friday night in August in a beach town. Peak season. The kind of weekend where every hotel within 30 miles had been booked since May and every Airbnb was claimed months ago. They called hotels. Booked. They tried Airbnb. Nothing under $500 for last-minute listings. They tried VRBO. Same. 14 women with suitcases and champagne and matching bride tribe pajama sets and a rolled-up, last fling before the ring banner had nowhere to sleep. They ended up split across 3 different motels within a 40-minute drive. The only places with availability, the kind of motels with parking lot ice machines and vending machines that only take quarters and doors that open directly outside and bedspreads you don't think too hard about and shower curtains that don't fully close. The rose was warm by the time they got to their rooms. The karaoke machine someone packed stayed in the trunk. The bride tribe tank tops looked different under fluorescent motel lighting. Different energy entirely. Total cost for emergency accommodations. Approximately $3,800 for one night split across 14 women who thought they were spending the weekend at a free beach house and were now paying $270 per person for a motel room that smelled like chlorine and old carpet. The Bachelorette weekend that was supposed to be Instagram-worthy was now a parking lot, and a vending machine and 3 separate motels in 3 different zip codes and a group chat that had gone from beach babes to dead silent. Some of the women were furious. Not at me. At Brianna. Because they had driven hours. They had taken Friday off work. They had paid for matching outfits and decorations and champagne. They had told their husbands and boyfriends and babysitters that they'd be at a beach house all weekend. And now they were standing in a motel parking lot at 11 p.m. rebooking their entire weekend because the venue that Brianna had promised was a house she didn't own and hadn't actually secured. Val texted me the next morning, Sunday, after she got my number from a mutual friend. She said, "I'm sorry. She told us you offered the house. She said it was confirmed weeks ago. If I'd known the truth, I would have never come." For what it's worth, she does this kind of thing a lot. Not just with you. That last sentence. Not just with you. Brianna doesn't just do this to family. She does it to everyone. The entitlement is portable. It travels. Saturday morning. I woke up at 7 a.m. Made coffee in my kitchen. Walked onto the deck. The ocean was doing what the ocean always does, existing without asking permission from anyone. I took a photo. Coffee in hand. The Atlantic behind me. Blue sky. Deck railing. I posted it on Instagram. Caption: Day 1 of my vacation. I knew Brianna would see it. I knew Mom would see it. I knew exactly what that photo would communicate, which was that I wasn't on a plane or at home or anywhere else that suggested I'd given the house to anyone. I was there. In the house. On the deck. Drinking coffee. While 14 women were waking up in motels 30 miles away wondering what happened to the Bachelorette. The photo was a receipt. A timestamp. Proof that the person who owned the house was using it, and the person who demanded it was not. Brianna saw it within the hour. I know because Mom called at 8:14 a.m., screaming, and screaming is not an exaggeration. Lorraine was at a volume that exists beyond normal conversation, and somewhere in the territory of a person whose entire system for managing the family has been exposed. You were in there, while your sister was outside. You sat in that house while 14 women stood on your porch, and you didn't open the door. I said, "It's my house, Mom. I was on my vacation. The one I planned 8 months ago. The one my therapist said I needed. The one you told me to cancel. The one you call me selfish for wanting to keep." She said, "This is unforgivable." I said, "Let me tell you what else is unforgivable since we're making a list. Treating my property like a free hotel for 4 years. Never paying a cleaning fee after 21 visits. Leaving a wine stain on my couch and not telling me. Having Brianna commit 14 people to my house without asking me and telling them I said yes when I did not. Threatening to uninvite me from my sister's wedding because I wanted to use my own house for 1 week. That's the list, Mom. It's long and it starts before mine and it costs more than mine, and nobody in this family has ever once said thank you for a single weekend they spent in a house they didn't build, didn't buy, didn't pay for, and didn't clean." She was quiet for about 8 seconds. Then she said, "You've changed." I said, "No, Mom. I just stopped pretending I hadn't." She hung up. The group chat leaked. Val sent a screenshot to a mutual friend who sent it to me. The Beach Babes Bachelorette chat. I read through the messages, weeks of them, and each one was a small revelation about how my sister thinks about me and my property. Brianna, 3 weeks before the Bachelorette. My brother's beach house is ours for the weekend. Ours. Not his. Ours. Brianna, 2 weeks before. Don't worry about the details, I'm handling it. Handling it meant sending me a text the week of. Brianna, 1 week before. And this is the one I saved, the one I look at sometimes when I wonder if I was too harsh. It's practically my house too. He never uses it. He never uses it. I use it 6 times. She uses it 8. And because 6 is less than 8, because her presence there outnumbers mine, she has decided that my ownership is a formality and her access is a right. She confused generosity with vacancy. She confused my saying yes with not caring. She thought the fact that I always gave meant that I didn't value, when the truth is the opposite. I gave because I valued, and she took because she didn't. Brianna said I ruined her Bachelorette. Said it to Mom, to Kyle, to every family member who would listen, framed the whole story as me being vindictive and petty and choosing to humiliate her in front of her friends. I said, through Kyle, because Brianna and I weren't speaking directly. She committed 14 people to my property without asking me. She told them it was hers. She created a group chat calling it her house. She sent the address, the packing list, the Pinterest board. She did everything except ask the person who owns the building. She humiliated herself. I just locked my own door. The wedding invitation arrived a month later. My name wasn't on it. I'd been uninvited. Mom confirmed via a phone call that lasted 90 seconds. Your sister doesn't want you at the wedding after what you did. I said, after what I did. I locked my own front door and went on my own vacation at my own house. Mom said, you know what I mean. I said, yeah, Mom. I do. I know exactly what you mean. You mean I didn't sacrifice what I wanted so Brianna could have what she wanted, which is what I've done 21 times in 4 years. And the one time I didn't, I'm the villain. She didn't respond. I said, enjoy the wedding. She hung up. The wedding happened without me. Brianna got married at a vineyard that somebody else's brother probably got displaced from. I didn't send a gift. I didn't send a card. I sent nothing, because nothing is what I received for 4 years of unlimited access to my property and $4,800 in cleaning fees and a $600 couch stain. Nothing seems about right. I spent my vacation week at the beach house. The full week. And it was the best week I'd had in 3 years. Maybe longer. I slept until 8 a.m. every morning, which for someone who wakes up at 5 a.m. for container ships in Singapore felt like a crime against nature. I read 4 books. I cooked every meal myself. Nothing fancy. Just eggs and toast in the morning and fish tacos at night. And the kind of meals you make when you're alone and the only person you need to impress is yourself. I walked on the beach at sunrise every morning, barefoot, the sand cold under my feet because the sun hadn't warmed it yet, and I didn't bring my phone. I left it in the house, on the counter, where it could vibrate all it wanted against the granite, and I wouldn't hear it. I didn't check it for 2 full days at one point. 48 hours without looking at a screen. Dr. Hadley would have been proud. On the last night, I sat on the deck with a glass of wine and watched the sun go down, and I thought about the $389,000 and the 7 years of saving and the $78,000 down payment and the 21 times I said yes and the 1 time I said no. And I thought, this is mine. This was always mine. The deed says my name. The mortgage comes from my account. The taxes, the insurance, the maintenance, the cleaning, all of it mine. And the only thing that changed this week is that I finally acted like it. Dale called me on the last day, Sunday afternoon. I was packing up, stripping the beds, wiping the counters, taking the trash out, all the things my family never did. He said, Wes, for what it's worth, I've been managing vacation properties for 15 years, and I've never seen a family treat an owner's home the way yours does. Most owners have boundaries from day one. You gave yours away, and they took everything that wasn't nailed down. You did the right thing. I said, thanks, Dale. He said, also, the cleaning crew wanted me to tell you that this is the cleanest the house has ever been after a visit. You're a much better guest than your family. I laughed. First real laugh in a week. Maybe longer. A much better guest. In my own house. Than the people who used it for free 21 times and never once left it the way they found it. Months later. October. Brianna texted me. First contact since the Bachelorette. I saw her name on my screen and I felt nothing. Not anger. Not curiosity. Not hope. Nothing. I opened it. It said, hey, would it be possible to use the beach house for our anniversary weekend? November 2nd to 4th? Just me and Tyler. Tyler. Her husband now. The man she married at a wedding I wasn't invited to. She was asking to use my house for her anniversary. No acknowledgement of what happened. No apology. No, I know things have been weird. Just a request. Like the vending machine had been restocked and she was putting in her quarters again. I looked at the text. I looked at the ocean through my window because I was at the beach house that weekend, using it, my house, and the ocean was gray and churning because October on the Atlantic is different from August. Rougher, less pretty, more honest, the kind of ocean that doesn't perform for tourists, and I typed one word. No. No explanation. No sorry. No maybe another time. No softening. No managing her reaction. No path of least resistance. Just no. 2 letters. 1 syllable. The first boundary I ever set with my sister that didn't come with an asterisk or an apology or a, but let me make it up to you. Just no. I put my phone down. I picked up my book. And the ocean kept doing what the ocean does, which is exist without asking permission from anyone. That's what I'm learning to do too. Exist without permission. Use my own house. Take my own vacations. Say no without explanation. It shouldn't take 33 years and a lockout and a lost wedding invitation to learn this. But it did. And I'm here now. And the door is locked. And the code is mine. If you made it this far, thank you for listening.